HD. ZNS Network presents The Bahamas Tonight. This portion of the news brought to you by BTC Every Day.
Significant job creation and a new air of confidence for Grand Bahama. Good evening, everyone. I'm Charisma Robinson.
I'm Kish Latterly. Thanks so much for joining us. Negotiations in London have wrapped up, and the government is pleased with plans for the island of Grand Bahama.
And as Clint Watson tells us, head of the delegation, Prime Minister, the Right Honorable Perry Christie, describing those talks as revolutionary.
A paradigm shift is set to come to Grand Bahama, according to Prime Minister the Right Honorable Perry Christie. Talks between the government and the Hutchinson-Whampoa Group, as well as the MSC, will result in the dawning of a new day for Grand Bahamians. Not disclosing at this point any agreement regarding the expired Hawksbill Creek Agreement, Mr. Christie did reveal that the committee responsible for coming up with recommendations will have to report by early February on recommendations.
I have indicated that the government would wish to give consideration to a new paradigm in terms of our relationship and in terms of our presence in Grand Bahama. I would leave it at that because we're talking about partners and we're talking about making major steps to enhance the relationship with the partners, to have deeper relationship by the government in the involvement of Grand Bahama in the affairs of the investors, and to be able to give greater meaning to their investment, and I believe to cause more to take place in Grand Bahama. Those are the kinds of discussions we've been having all day.
MSC has agreed to expand its container port and is interested in starting a school to train people for cruise careers, both resulting in significant new jobs. Then there's the Ocean Key investment project in the northern Bahamas that will produce major job opportunities.
We have had a great expression of confidence in our country and confidence in our future. And I'm looking forward to their coming to New Providence in the next several days, really, where we are able to agree and sign an agreement, setting out our understandings in writing, and therefore leaving them in a position to plan to commence construction as early as January, and therefore creating jobs as early as January.
The move to expand investment in the Bahamas comes with a degree of comfort by MSC in working with the government. This according to President and CEO of MSC, Diego Aponte.
The Prime Minister Christie is a true leader, and he always keeps his people at the core of every discussion that we had. He always talked about giving hope to his fellow citizen, and I think this is beautiful. And I think we share very much the same value. We want to be able to say one day that we have somehow contributed to the success, let's say, of the Bahamas, and we're feeling very comfortable thanks to your Prime Minister, and I think that together we can make a long road together for the next decades and years to come.
MSC also plans on bringing new cruise ships to the Bahamas. Prime Minister Christie says they also talked about other projects and investments for the future. In London, Clint Watson, ZNS Network News.
The annual conference put on by the Council for Disability wrapped up today. Council facilitators used the event to highlight the ongoing plight of the disabled community through education and awareness. Carla Palmer reports tonight that members of the community don't just want the public to observe them, but to take action in their best interest.
Already challenged in many regards, the disabled community is calling on the general public to be a bit more sensitive and respectful of their needs, such as the need to access their marked parking spaces.
I get very, very angry when I see people parking in a handicapped spot at an establishment, especially if I have to park around the building because there's no designated parking space. And then when you pass the car that's parked in the wrong spot, they don't have any decals saying that they're handicap permit.
Lorna Turnquist has a great need for the handicapped parking. In 2009, she had a massive stroke that has left her paralyzed on her left side, making long walks a challenge.
When they're able-bodied, taking up space for a disabled person who needs a cane or who needs a wheelchair to get into the establishment, it really, really makes me angry with that.
It's issues such as these that Lorna and other members of the Bahamas National Council for Disability are hoping to resolve through awareness and education.
There is no public transportation available for the disabled.
Turnquist says too many times she and others like her are just left standing.
I catch the bus, the public bus, and sometimes the minute they see me with my cane or my brace or my wheelchair, they don't stop. They pass me by, looking straight in my face and passing by. I wonder, I'm too slow. I take too much of their time and money what they could make me just trying to get on the bus, and I'm too slow. Then when you get on the bus and you have to sit in the middle, if someone in the back of you wanting to come out, you have to come back off to let that person in the back out and then come back on.
International Director and Chief Executive Officer of the Center for Independent Living in Broward County, Florida, Corey Hines, served as a conference facilitator. He says independent living and inclusion are characteristics essential to the psyche of the disabled.
It's going to be challenging for the business owners to make their facilities accessible, their bathrooms, the entryway, their wheelchair ramps. Those things are needed to comply with the new legislation. And I know you're looking for solutions and ideas on how to have that achieved. Well, I think that can be achieved if those business owners or could be given possibly tax incentives or other types of incentives from the government to help lower the cost of making their facilities accessible.
Hines says people with disability don't want handouts. They simply want opportunities, and having equal rights makes this happen. Carla Palmer, ZNS Network News.
Testimony continued today in the Kurt McCartney murder trial, with jurors hearing from a number of witnesses, including a firearms expert. The expert, ASP Earl Thompson, testified that he examined a 9mm fired cartridge case. He noted that after a test firing it, the cartridge case was positively identified as having been fired from the 9mm pistol. PMH pathologist Dr. Karen Sands also testified earlier that McCartney died from gunshot injuries to the head and blunt force trauma to most parts of his body. You may remember that a witness testified anonymously that he saw McCartney being shot in the head and then rolled over by a Hummer vehicle. The trial continues before Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs.
A man was shot and killed outside his home in Nassau Village today. Police say he was on Alexandria Boulevard when he was shot multiple times. Now, at least 14 markers indicated the areas where gun casings were left on the street. Superintendent of Police B.K. Bonamy Jr. spoke with reporters at the scene.
Shortly around 3 or 5, the deceased was walking on the boulevard in the area of his residence, and a black Odyssey vehicle pulled up and opened fire on him. We don't know the motive at this time, but we're going to appeal to members of the public who was walking, passing, or driving. If they had seen anything or heard anything, to please give us a call that will help us in our investigation.
Now, we're told the victim was the father of 4. This Nassau Village resident told ZNS News that the victim was also the father of her daughter's newborn and that she's frustrated with all the killing.
He was in his own yard when I was in the web shop here when I heard a boom, 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 boom. Because I don't know where they get his gun from. They must see cannon. They ain't even gun. And the same sound gun would kill Rev. It's the same one, but they say shoot up in the Spannerman yard. So how could it be the same people? It have to be the same people doing it. And they making one side to war with the next side, and that ain't making no sense. I don't see where it's making no sense where this side of Nassau Village and that side of Nassau Village can't agree.